In this video, I am going to show you how to calculate rates in Google Sheets. Most of what I will show you will also work in Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to show you how to calculate crime rates, but it could be used to calculate murder rates, poverty rates, any kind of rate you want to calculate. The basic formula is as you see on the screen here. Rate equals count divided by population times base. The count is the number of people you observed in that category. So if I'm calculating the violent crime rate, the count is the number of violent crimes in the city I'm studying. The population is the population of that city. So the number of violent crimes divided by the population of the city. Now the base is a number that allows us to compare rates from one unit to the next. So typically with crime rates, a common base would be 100,000. So I would report violent crimes in terms of 10 violent crimes per every 100,000 people. This allows me to compare cities of different sizes. Now, when it comes to crime rates, there are some cautions against comparing them from one city to the next or from one jurisdiction to the next. That's a different discussion. I'm just showing you how to calculate the rates in this video. So let's look at how to do it in Google Sheets. Here is the data that I showed you how to, the U.S. crime rate data that I showed you how to download. We want to establish the violent crime rate. First, I'm going to make a new column for violent crime rate. So the way to do that, I'm going to click here on D to select that entire column. And now I'll go up to Insert, and I can choose to put a new column either to the left or the right of that. I'm going to put it to the left of that. So there's my new column, and I'm going to label this violent crime rate. Let's calculate the first one by hand. For Abingdon, Virginia, the count is 14. There were 14 violent crimes in Abingdon in 2017. The population is 8,066. So let's do that calculation by hand. So 17 divided by 8,066. And you see that gives us a very small number. And it's actually the wrong number, isn't it? Because there are actually 14 violent crimes. Let's redo that. So 14 divided by 8,066. It's a very tiny number. And this is one reason why we use a base, because we don't like working with these tiny numbers. They're difficult to interpret, difficult to look at, difficult to write. So let's multiply that by our base. So my base here is 100,000. I want to know the violent crime rate per 100,000 people. So all I do is take this calculated number and multiply it by 100,000. And there's my violent crime rate. In Abingdon, Virginia, in 2017, there were 173, almost 174 violent crimes per 100,000 people. That might seem kind of strange since there were only 8,000 people in Abingdon. Again, the base has several functions. First, it gives us a number that's not a tiny little fraction, easier to look at and work with. Second, it gives us a number that we can compare across populations if we are so inclined. So now let's look at how to implement that calculation in a spreadsheet. And I'm showing it on Google Spreadsheets, but you do it exactly the same in Microsoft Excel or any other spreadsheet. So I'm going to select this cell right here, Abingdon violent crime rate. I just click in that cell. Now I'm going to type a formula. I can either type the formula in that cell, or I can type it up here on the formula bar. First I select the cell, then I can go up to the formula bar and type it in. I'm going to type it in the formula bar because I'm more comfortable with that, because I can type longer formulas and see them more easily. Every formula starts with an equal sign, so start with the equal, and then I want the, remember our formula? Rate equals count divided by population. So I could just type 14 divided by 8,066, but that's inefficient. There's no need to use a spreadsheet. What a spreadsheet allows us to do is calculate once for all of the cities on this list. So what I'm going to do is, instead of giving the number in that cell, I'm going to give the name of that cell. So that cell right there is C6. The column, the letter is the column it's in, the number is the row it's in. It's in column C, row 6, so C6. So I want to divide that count by the population. So divide it by B6. You see when I clicked in that B6 cell, it popped up over there. Now I know I'm going to want to close those in parentheses so that I can multiply the result of that calculation. And our base is 100,000. And now watch, it's going to give me an error message. See, error message. Why did I get an error message? Well, because I put a comma in 100,000. Spreadsheet does not like the comma. So take the comma out, hit return, and now there's my violent crime rate. It rounded it up to 174. Remember when I calculated by hand over here, it was 173 and change? Google has rounded it up for me. Okay, and I'm going to center that number just because I like to center things. So I click on D to select the entire column. I go up here to horizontal line, I click center, and there it is. Okay, so now how do I get that formula in the rest of these cells without typing it in? No need to type it in. What I do is I click in that cell, hold my left mouse button down, and I drag. I drag all the way to the bottom of my column. There are several other ways to do it. This is how I do it. So I've selected the entire column, including that first cell where I have the formula. Now I hit, on the keyboard, I hit Control D. Control D. And you can see that the spreadsheet has filled in the formula. It's given me the violent crime rate for every city. Let's click in row 7 for Alexandria. And go up here to the formula, and you can see formula is C7 divided by B7. So in my original formula, it was C6 divided by B6. And it's in row 7, it's adjusted it to C7 divided by B7. Row 8, C8 divided by B8, so forth. So it's kept the entire formula, but it's adjusted it so it takes the count divided by the rate, count divided by the population for each row. So there you go. It's that easy to calculate a rate. Now for an exercise, you should try to do the same thing for property crime over here. See if you can do it by yourself. That's all there is to it. Easy, right?